Hey everybody, welcome to Workforce Gaming. I am Brad, here with Doug.
Hey.
We got a code for What the Car, which was on Apple Arcade for a while. It is just now being released on PC and Doug's shiny new Steam Deck.
Yeah. You'll be seeing a lot more PC reviews from us now.
But if you're not familiar with What the Car, What the Golf was the kind of first game in this quote-unquote series, and it's basically like a goofy racing game. Not racing game, but like a goofy like get-to-the-end type thing, right?
Yeah. That's kind of like yes. Actually, What the Golf is not really a golf game. It's kind of like get your ball or whatever to the end of the level. Yeah. Very similarly, What the Car is get a car-like object to the end of the level sort of thing. So what the car is, how would you describe it? It's very funny because it's like they're making it very difficult to explain. You play as a car sometimes. You could think of it kind of like Trials or similar games, like you're trying to drive to the end of the level. There's a lot of obstacles in the way.
Way less serious though, right?
Oh yeah, way less serious. Yeah, I'll talk about that in a second. Like I was saying, it's like a game where you're like taking a car from one level to the other, but every single level the car is a little bit different. The first level you play, the car has legs, and he's actually just like running along, and then you have to get your car at the end. Other times your car can be like upside down or have like 12 wheels or have springs on it. So while the levels are pretty similar, it's like, hey, just get to the end. The mechanics you use to get to the end are going to be different every time. So they're using like sort of like different sliders and stuff. It's a very like physics-based game. So sometimes your car is like really easy to control, and other times like they really jack up the inertia. So you're like it's like you're like sliding on ice, and they're trying to turn the car just right and just get it's like a very it's one of those kind of like silly physicsy games. And as a result, if the physics are nice and tight, it's like a fun level. But the way they kind of mess with the difficulty, a really hard level is just like something that's like really hard to control where you're fighting the physics.
Is it like an instant reset? Is it like an instant restart thing like Trials though? So it's like, okay, like these physics are pissing me off. Like my car's just flying, I can't do it, but it's just like R1 reset, or whatever the button.
Yeah, exactly. And the whole thing with this game, it's like it's so silly because I feel it's really funny. I was like thinking about how to review this game because I wasn't super into it. I found it like a little bit like repetitive. It's like it's funny the first few times, but after a while, it's like okay, now like the level is just I have a goofy car. But the thing is, like, there's this like quote by God, this is gonna sound really pretentious for a second. There's a quote by Kurt Vonnegut in which he was describing reviewers of his books. It's like people putting on a full suit of armor to attack an ice cream sundae, and I feel kind of like that because it's like oh well, the fighting the physics isn't super fun, but like I'm flying down the road like hitting like bear characters while like my car has giant legs. Like it's
you're not in on the joke if you're taking it seriously.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just like I didn't find it particularly fun, but it's like just such a silly, goofy game that's like hard not to recommend, or at least like not like. I think a lot of people would be super into this. I just don't like games where like inherently a lot of the game is like fighting the physics, and sometimes people find that really fun. Like there's a whole like goat simulators like that. Little Big Planet's kind of like that on accident. But I always have like issues with games where you're fighting the physics, and this game is the gag is that you are fighting the physics in different and fun kind of unique ways. So like let's say for example like your car all of a sudden has like a super jump. And like you don't realize your car has a super jump until you only have like a single button to press. So whenever you press that button, sometimes the car will just honk, nothing happens. Sometimes the car will like have a jetpack and fly off in the air. Sometimes it has arms that it's like crawling along sort of thing. So it is kind of cool. Like every level, the car feels a little bit different, and kind of learning that along with this sort of like goofy environment. The one thing I do like though is like it has this very kind of cool hub world. So you actually have to like walk to the different levels. Like you go level 1, level 2, level 3, you kind of walk along a path. But I think that's really fun is that in each of these hub worlds, they have sort of a challenging little piece to it to do that challenging piece. Like usually there'll be some like some platforms or something. The way it's actually kind of hard. You have to push a ball through like a pretty hard obstacle course, and that's how you unlock like the hard level for that game. So like every level has like sort of like an impossible level, and the way to do it is going through the hub world, doing something difficult in the hub world to unlock that hard level. And I thought that was like really cool. And I really did like the hub world a lot because I like hub worlds in games. It was just really fun kind of going from each one, and like I like walking to a level, and then like sometimes I'll have like a little bit of platforming stuff to get to the next level. Sometimes there'll be like hidden stuff in the hub world that will unlock a new level that I really liked. there's some of the problems I did have with the game is that the game feels like really repetitive after a while. I think we've talked about like different games where like there are games that feel like handheld games, there's games that feel like console games, and then this was an Apple Arcade game clearly built for mobile. I think one of the, like, let's say like tenets of mobile games is that every time you open a mobile game, you kind of want to get the same thing every time. So a lot of the levels, like after a while, like they really bleed into one another because the mechanic is usually just get from point A to point B, to the point where like the only levels that stood out to me were ones that like broke that were just like something. Sometimes they'll throw like a completely random level with like a very unique gameplay mechanic that's not even getting from point A to point B. And that stuff is always like fun and exciting. But I was like, why is the thing that I really like and remembering about this game are all the levels where you're not doing the main thing. The thing. But
I think that's the difference between I'm sitting down to play this for 10 to 20 minutes while I'm waiting to pick up my kid from school versus I'm sitting down for a 2 to 3 hour session on my Steam Deck to play and just enjoy a game at night.
Yeah, exactly. So like to the point where it's like, I'll bet I probably would have enjoyed this more on the phone, but like sitting down and playing like 10 levels in a row, like on a handheld or something like that, it's just like, it just doesn't probably quite have that zing or like that sort of thing you want. They would get like from a mobile game. The one thing that's kind of funny about this, because it came out on Apple Arcade, they have like every single event just available for you to go to. So like I had sort of beaten the game. I was like, okay, that was pretty quick. It's about like 2 or 3 hours to beat the game.
Yeah.
And they had like 2 or 3 bonus chapters that came out afterwards. Plus you could do like the Halloween event and the Christmas event and whatever event. You could do all those at once. And the thing that's like, not sad, but like, not sad is not the right word, but it's like all of the super interesting stuff in this game is all the post game stuff when they figured out like, oh, the actual fun parts of this game are like this other thing, this other stuff. So like, I like, I don't even want to spoil them, but like the episodes are like totally different. They play a lot different than the base game. They have a lot more interesting creative stuff going on. They're doing like a lot more fun stuff with like physics explosions and stuff. And like, that to me was like the most interesting thing. There's also some like bonus levels. There's this one level where you get to play I think there's like only 5 or 6 developers on the game. They each made their own unique level that are like very different and weird from the rest of the game. And those were all awesome. So it's like anytime the game is breaking its like rules, like that's when it got really fun. And so that's the thing that's just kind of disappointing. It's just like there's like a good game there. Again, I like, it's a fun, silly game. I think a lot of people really enjoy this, but it's just like that just sort of, it just kind of turns like white noise after a while. Like after you see your car get long legs and then short legs and then this and then that, like when it shoots out of the cannon, it's not really funny anymore. It kind of loses like, the fun, like surprise. It's just like, okay, what's the annoying? Is the thing going to control fun or is it going to be an annoying thing to control this time?
Am I going to enjoy this level? Am I going to hate this level? Like, is this a good one? Is this a bad one?
Yeah. And they're never so hard that you're like yelling at the screen. They're just like this kind of like, it's a little mushy. It's like a mushy. It's like they're not super hard. They're not super easy, but they're not like a nice challenging thing because sometimes because you're fighting the physics, sometimes you feel like you just kind of got lucky.
Is there a skill to it? You said get lucky. Is there a skill to this or is it just...
There is, but because there's so much stuff that can happen, like they just have like a lot of physics objects in the thing. So if you just hit something like kind of wrong with the wrong type of like fun vehicle, then like your whole like run is ruined because like, oh, this house fell over because of the physics thing and now it was blocking me. Oh, okay. I'd imagine if you're going for leaderboard stuff, this stuff would be extremely frustrating because it's not like I feel like trials and stuff, like I feel like I have way more control in trials.
I have total control of everything. Every minuscule part of that bike I can control.
Exactly. And so like you feel yourself getting like really good. And this one, like I never really felt getting good at it. So as soon as telling it's like, oh, I got a gold medal, it's like I don't really feel like I got that gold medal versus that bronze medal versus that silver medal. All it's kind of felt like, whatever. It's a neat game though, and it's like very silly and fun. I just feel like this is like one of those things. Like I think we talked about a few different games like this, where it's like I think we play too many games that sometimes we're just like a wet blanket on like decent games. And this is like one of them. Like the aesthetic is very similar, not very similar, but like clearly inspired by Katamari Damacy. So it's like this like very kind of goofy world. Like your car has like a dumb smile on its face. At the end they kind of do like a cool like photo shot of like your car doing like a silly move, like at the end of every level. It's like, it's really cute. But I'm just so jaded and immune to that now. I'm like,
I don't
And
enjoy
like that
games anymore. You
I
try and make my game fun. I'll show you. Wait till you hear my review.
Yeah, I know, but it's just like I'm so, and like I've said this before, like I'm in my jazz era of game. It's like I just need to see something new, and this had like some cool news. And the thing I really liked this stuff when it was showing me stuff new, but that wasn't most of the game. 80% of it was kind of like a fun mobile game. The other 20% where they got like really crazy with it, I really did enjoy. Yeah, that's my review with the car. Oh, I will say though, can I dunk on the music for a second? I've never done this before. With music,
well, you're in your jazz era and you need something.
Yeah, exactly. So, a lot of the game, they're doing some weird procedural stuff with the game, and I think that's kind of why it felt like some of the levels didn't feel as authored, I guess, as some other games I've played in the past. Because they even have a level editor, and when you start the level editor, it kind of creates a random level for you then to modify as something to start with. And I was like, did they do this for their own levels as well? But what the music is the music is also procedurally generated, but they kind of use like a same basic tune, but will turn up drums in a certain way or guitar in a certain way. They actually give you like at the end of the game, they give you like a way to play with it. But the thing is, like, it results in like every song sounding almost exactly the same, except with like the drums turned up or the guitars turned up. So like so it's like the same song for over 40 levels or whatever. And it was just kind of like, a tough. I know this is like a very rambly one, but it's like, it's just it's a very strange game, and I felt bad for not enjoying it because I was just like, I'm just getting old.
25-year-old me would have loved this.
Yeah. This is like not me being like, It's like I think like middle schoolers, 10-year-old stuff like really like this stuff. I mean that genuinely. I don't mean that as like a slight against the game.
I mean,
this could be somebody's Katamari. This could be. It's just I've already had my Katamari. Yes. This is somebody else's.
And every piece of media is not going to resonate with every single group and every single person. So yeah, there are some that are going to resonate more with that audience. And again, I think that goofy aesthetic, that fun, that physics. I mean, I remember like middle school, high school, like the like early physics games, like playing the
Flash
shit
games
out of those. Those Flash physics games. Yeah. That was literally like computer lab in middle school and high school.
yeah, and that's like, and I can see the appeal of Goat Simulator and that sort of stuff. It's like just not. Yes, in high school I would have loved this stuff, and I just still think it's a good game. It's like a very well made product game. It's just I had my time with this kind of game.
Yep, makes sense to me. We are Workforce Gaming. Subscribe to our channel. Leave a comment below. There's a link to support us on Coffee as well. We'll see you later.
Bye.